Okay, picture this. It's just a regular Tuesday morning, right? Nothing special.
The kind where you're probably just thinking about the day ahead, what's for dinner.
Exactly. But for one mother, Fatima Begum, well, everything just falls apart in an instant.
A really confusing phone call. She goes to pick up her son, Ollie, from school like normal.
Yeah.
And then,
He's gone. Vanished.
and that first just terrifying moment, it spirals. It becomes much, much more complex than just a missing child.
Yeah, it gets tangled up almost immediately with this really shocking act of violence.
That's it. So you start with that awful question, what on earth happened to Ollie?
But then the layers peel back because how does his disappearance connect to a murdered street vendor? It seems so random.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at excerpts from the Abduction Ring, which really details Ollie's case and the whole investigation involved.
Right, so we're aiming to unpack all the twists and turns, figure out the connections the CID uncovered, understand the why behind it all.
So yeah, a mother's worst nightmare colliding with a brutal crime. Let's go back to the start. Outside the school.
His bag and his shoes just left there.
That detail tells you straight away, doesn't it? This wasn't a kid just wandering off.
No way. Something bad happened right there.
Precisely. No ambiguity. Then the ransom call comes in.
And the demand is just, it's out there. It's not just money.
No. They tell Fatima she has to shoot a specific person, a street vendor named Kareem or Malhar.
Shoot him. A complete stranger, basically. Just horrifying.
And completely bizarre. You can imagine she couldn't do it. Who could?
Of course not, so she refuses.
And that refusal sort of throws a spanner in the works for the kidnappers, which then brings the CID, the Criminal Investigation Department, into it.
Because Kareem turns up dead.
Exactly. They find his body in a deserted alley, gunshot wound to the chest.
So initially, maybe it looks like, okay, the kidnappers got angry or something went wrong with the demand.
That might be the first thought. But the forensic evidence, it starts painting a different picture pretty quickly. More complicated.
Right, the crime scene details. What did they find?
Okay, so, drag marks. Clearly the body was moved after he was shot.
Moved, okay.
His slipper was nearby, suggesting maybe a brief scuffle, but interestingly, not many signs of a major struggle on the body itself.
So maybe he was caught off guard?
Possibly. Then you have these other clues. Blood droplets, blood on a nearby tap.
Blood on a tap, so someone washed their hands.
It looks that way. Someone was injured and tried to clean up. And then, really crucial finds. More blood droplets, these ones on a window, and a broken fingernail.
The small things. That's often where the case breaks, isn't it?
Absolutely. So Tarika, the forensic expert, starts piecing this together. Her initial take is Kareem was shot first, then dragged to a car.
Okay, shot, then dragged. Makes sense with the drag marks.
And the broken fingernail. Tarika figures the car door, maybe it was locked or jammed, couldn't be opened from the outside.
So the killer had to reach in through the window.
That's the theory. Reached in, maybe you'll unlock it or move something, and snap. Fingernail breaks off. Suggests clumsiness, maybe panic.
Okay, that fits the scene. But then there's another layer, right? Something else Tarika found.
Yes. And this really complicates things. Faint marks on Kareem's neck.
Not from the gunshot.
No. They indicate strangulation. With a gloved hand, it seems. And the glove was torn, specifically at the thumb. And this happened after the gunshot.
After. Why strangle someone who's already been shot?
That's the million-dollar question. It immediately points to, well, maybe more than one attack. Or the shoe breaking, absolutely sure. Or maybe something else entirely. It suggests it's not just a simple kidnapping fallout.
So who was Kareem? Why him? The CID has to dig into his background.
Right. They talked to his landlady, Shazia. She described him as hard-working, sold toys outside Ali's school. Says he had no enemies. Seems like a regular guy.
Selling toys at the school? That's a direct link.
A very direct link. And the things found on his body strengthen that. A vendor card, sure, but also this kind of organic...
It's just like an account book.
Exactly, an account book.
Yeah.
And pamphlets, or maybe a diary from that same school. So he wasn't just near the school, he was connected to it somehow.
And people around the school confirmed he was there. Popular with the kids, even.
Yeah, seemed well-liked, just a normal vendor. But then, the investigation uncovers something really startling.
Another missing child.
Yes, from the same school. Another boy, also named Ali, different family. Ali Arjun vanished the day before Fatima Begum's son.
The day before.
And get this, his mother, also named Fatima, reported him missing initially. then withdrew the report, claimed he'd come back in.
Withdrew it. That's suspicious. 2 kids, same name roughly, same school, 24 hours apart, and a murdered vendor.
That can't be a coincidence. It screams targeted operation, right?
Absolutely. This changes everything. It's not just one kidnapping, it's potentially a pattern.
Definitely broadens the scope. Suggests something organized is going on around the school.
And just as this connection emerges, forensics comes back with something on that broken fingernail.
Yeah, huge breakthrough. The lab report says the nail fragment was yellowish and had high levels of glycated nail protein.
Glycated nail protein, meaning?
It's a marker for long-term high blood sugar. Basically, it indicates the person who lost the nail has diabetes.
Diabetes, okay, how does that help?
Well, think about it. Someone with diabetes, especially if it's not perfectly managed with insulin, might have issues with wound healing.
Right, cuts and things can bleed more, take longer to heal.
Exactly. So a broken fingernail, which might be minor for someone else, could cause significant prolonged bleeding for this person. Suddenly, the blood at the scene, the washing at the tap, it all takes on new significance.
It becomes a very specific clue pointing to the killer's medical condition.
Precisely. So the CID now has this powerful filter. They switch tactics.
Start checking hospitals.
Yep. Local hospitals, clinics. They're looking for anyone treated recently for a hand wound, especially with lots of bleeding, who also has a history of diabetes. Classic detective work using the science.
And does it pay off?
It leads them to a compounder. Someone who dispenses medicine for teeth at one hospital.
Does he know something?
Well, initially he denies treating anyone like that. Says no, haven't seen anyone fitting that description.
But the CID doesn't buy it.
They have a feeling he's holding back. So they put him under surveillance. Smart move. And their hunch is right. They follow Pratik after he leaves the hospital. And he meets someone unexpected.
Oh.
Shazia, Kareem's landlady.
The landlady. The one who said Kareem had no enemies? Meeting secretly with this compounder?
Exactly. That connection is suddenly very, very suspicious. It suggests she knows more, maybe much more, than she let on.
Yeah, that doesn't look like an innocent bystander anymore. Something's up.
Definitely implies some kind of complicity, or at least shared knowledge they didn't want the CID knowing about.
And the pressure seems to be mounting on her too, right? She confronts Pratik.
Yeah, she's seen confronting him, apparently agitated that he might have talked to the CID, worried about being dragged into it.
Okay, so Shazi is definitely involved somehow, but how does this link back to the killer?
Then comes the moment that ties it all together. Shazia asks Pratik to come over and change a bandage for her husband.
Zaid.
Her husband, yes.
Yeah.
And crucially, Zaid's finger won't stop bleeding. It's not healing properly. Why? Because he has diabetes.
The diabetes, the finger injury, the bleeding, it all points straight to Zaid.
It all clicks into place.
Yeah.
The broken fingernail, the medical condition, the need for medical help from Pratik, Shazia's nervousness.
So the CID moves in.
They act fast. Apprehend both Pratik and Zaid right there at Shazia's place. It's been incredibly tense.
Zaid, does he confess?
He does. Under questioning, Zaid admits he shot Kareem.
Okay, case closed.
Not quite. Because his motive is heartbreaking. He says he didn't want to do it. He claims he was forced.
Forced? By who?
By the people who kidnapped his own daughter, Sarah. He says they ordered him to kill Kareem, and only then would they release Sarah.
Oh my god. So he killed Kareem to save his daughter.
That's his claim. It explains the shooting, the panic maybe, moving the body, breaking his nail, getting Kareem into the car, needing the hospital. It fits a lot of the facts.
But not everything. What about the strangulation?
Exactly. Zaid adamantly denies strangling Kareem. Says he only shot him.
So that part is still unexplained, and there's another twist with Zaid and Kareem, isn't there?
A really tragic one. Zaid reveals he actually knew Kareem. Sort of. Kareem used to look after his daughter Sarah, sometimes outside the school if Zaid was late picking her up.
He was forced to kill the man who sometimes watched his kid? That's horrific.
It adds such a layer of complexity and tragedy, a desperate father pushed to commit murder. But the CID, they're still looking at the strangulation marks, and Zaid's denial.
And they start wondering, could Kareem himself have been involved in the kidnapping somehow? Maybe his murder wasn't just random coercion.
That becomes a strong possibility they have to explore. Was Kareem part of the ring? And maybe things went sour? So they dig deeper into his past.
And he wasn't just a simple toy vendor.
Turns out, no. He came from a place called Gorakhpur about 15 years earlier. And crucially, he had a past criminal record.
So a hidden history. That changes the perception of him completely.
Definitely suggests he might have been involved in, well, less savory activities than selling toys.
Okay, so while the CID is piecing together Kareem's past and Zaid's forced confession, what's happening with the kids, Ali and Sarah?
Yeah, the story cuts to them briefly. They're being held captive by this man, Raka. He's telling them, lies. Your parents are coming soon. Just false hope.
Awful, just keeping them compliant.
But then something even more disturbing happens at the hideout. A wealthy couple shows up.
To do what?
They're there to buy children, like selecting goods for domestic servants. It's absolutely chilling.
Buying children?
Yeah.
For servants?
Yes, and they actually show interest in Ali Fatima Begum's son.
Unbelievable. Just as this is happening.
The CID closes in. They've tracked the operation to this location. They raid the place right when Raka is going to get Ali, probably to show him to that couple.
And who do they find there besides Raka and the kids?
They find Shazia, or rather, the woman they knew as Shazia.
It wasn't her real name.
No. Turns out, her real name is Ratna. And the connection is just being Kareem's landlady.
What is it?
She has a past connection to Kareem Malmar back 15 years. To
Gorakhpur, where Kareem came from, where he had his criminal record.
Exactly. The truth comes pouring out. Ratna confesses. She and Kareem weren't just acquaintances, they were partners.
Partners in what?
In child trafficking. For years. Kidnapping children, selling them to wealthy families as domestic labor.
So the whole landlady thing was a front. And Zaid's story.
Zaid's story about being forced was likely true, but Ratna was the mastermind pulling the strings. She wasn't just a grieving landlady, she was a core part of this horrific ring.
But why kill Kareem, her own partner?
Greed and self-preservation. Ratna says Kareem got greedy. He started trying to extort money from the parents of the kids they'd kidnapped.
Which would risk exposing the whole operation.
Precisely. He became a liability. So Ratna decided to eliminate him. She's the one who strangled him after Zaid shot him, to make absolutely sure and probably to silence him permanently.
And she manipulated Zaid, used his kidnapped daughter to get him to do the shooting part for her, creating a scapegoat.
A truly cold-blooded, manipulative plan, using a father's love as a weapon.
Just devastating. But the CID got them, all of them.
Yes. In the end, the entire ring, Ratna, Raka, Zaid, Pratik, they were all apprehended. Justice in that sense was served.
And the children, Ali, Sarah.
Most importantly, yes, all the kidnapped children were rescued. Safe. You can only imagine the relief for those families.
Thank goodness. A truly harrowing case.
It really is. The kids even thanked the CID team afterwards. A small moment of light after so much darkness.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, it's just a chilling truth. Kidnapping, murder, uncovering this long-running child trafficking.
All driven by greed, desperation, and incredible hope. And the thing that unlocked it all, was the murder of that seemingly ordinary street vendor.
Yeah, what looked like maybe a simple, tragic event was the thread that unraveled this huge conspiracy.
And the connections were just astounding. Ratna's hidden identity, her past with Kareem.
The link between the vendor and the missing kids, Zaid being forced to kill the man who looked after his daughter.
And even the killer's diabetes, that broken fingernail becoming such a vital clue. It's incredible how it all fit together.
Beneath all the plot twists, you see these raw human elements, don't you? Fatima's panic, Zaid's terrible choice fueled by love, and Ratna's just cold calculation.
It really highlights the extremes of human behavior, driven by fear, love, and pure greed.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with maybe a final unsettling thought to ponder.
Think about the unseen victims in crimes like these, the ones whose stories maybe don't get told, and the complex reasons people do such things. What is it about our society where vulnerabilities exist and allow these kind of horrific acts to happen? What are those hidden threads and invisible connections that commence and seem on the surface